Hey everybody, Wolfie here, and just to thought I'd do a live to come on and give you an update. Um, if you're watching now live, if you don't mind, I see take a hike with Jim and Banjo in the chat, but drop me a message in the chat so I can tell who you are and let me know where you're from if you don't mind. That would be much appreciated. So let's review my hike so far and the crazy man that I was for trying to bite off so much so quick. Um, so I read a lot of stuff in the comments about that's no way to hike the AT, and there's of course there's always a bunch of negative Nancy's out there. So I'm kind of ignoring those. I just think it's kind of funny, and with my disposition, I kind of let it, you know, roll off my back like water on a duck. But with that said, it still upset me. But most people don't know. I've already got my hiker legs, right? I never lose my hiker legs. I'm here in West Virginia. I hike the Allegheny Trail quite a bit. The elevation changes just like on the AT and most of the sections of the Allegheny Trail, and I can do 16 miles on that trail without batting an eye. I mean, it's a day's hike, but you know, so I had my trail legs. So I started off on January 1st. Started off on Springer Mountain. I was with a large group of people, uh, and I love every one of them, and I consider them all friends now. Uh, but with that large group of people, everybody had to take their pictures and everything. So we did not get to the summit of Springer Mountain until 10 o'clock. Um, they were only doing an 8 mile day. They were going to go about 8 miles. They had cars staged there, and then they were going to hop up to Gooch Gap Trailhead. There's a large camping area there, and they were going to stay there. For me, my goal was to get in a big day. I originally wanted to do 110 miles in 7 or 8 days. Um, and I think I could have done it in probably seven, um, if I wouldn't started getting sick right on my third day. So that first day was 16 miles. I met them at Gooch Gap. Um, a lot of that coming from down Springer is, if you look at your elevation, the first 8 miles coming down Springer is practically, um, all downhill. But then once you hit it up, uh, Gooch Gap, you're going to hit, Sassafras, which everybody says Sassafras kicks your ass. And there, you got High Tower Gap in there. There's a big climb coming out of it. Um, so yeah, it can wear you down if you're not prepared for it. But I did it. Um, my problem is I was hiking and the water sources were low. I wouldn't say they're scarce, but a few of the water sources I could have went were dried up, and I didn't drink enough water. And I hadn't been hiking for a couple weeks, so that night I had leg cramps and stuff like that. So I didn't get as early start the next day as I wanted to, but that was okay. So the next day on day two, I went somewhere around 15, 17 miles. I went from Gooch Gap all the way up to Neal's Gap. That's where Mountain Crossing is. And I stayed at Mountain Crossing. I got there 45 minutes before they closed. I got there about 4:15 or so in the afternoon. They close at 5, and they're stringent. They close the doors. If you're not in them, they're not gonna let you stay in the shelter or let you stay at their hostel. So I stayed at their hostel. And for those of you that watched that day two video and are just kind of wondering, um, my pillow that went flat was made by Flextail, which I am happy to say they were really responsive in customer service, and sent me a new one, and I got it in the mail yesterday. Um, so take a hike to Jim just says he just thinks I'm crazy, and I probably am a little bit. My trail legs, my trail legs, I trained on the Allegheny Trail before my attempt last year, so I would say my AT legs, and I probably had them coming in within a week of doing the Allegheny Trail. I mean, last year on my first day, I went to Gooch Gap and it was 15 miles. So take that with a grain of salt, right? And but like I said, I was hiking all through October, November, and December on the Allegheny Trail, and during that 3 month period, I hiked 200 miles of it, in order for me to complete my, I guess, long my lashes of the Allegheny Trail. So I pretty much had my trail legs coming in last year as I did this year. Um, yeah, and like Jim says, it's different for everyone. Um, yeah, so for you that don't know, if you hike the entire Allegheny Trail, um, it's 311 miles, and the elevation gain is just under 450,000 feet in 311 miles. And if you look at the first 311 miles of the AT, you're going into the Smokies, but the elevation gain's comparable for that first 311 miles. So, you know, unscented toothpaste, I I don't hike with unscented toothpaste. I just use one of the little tubes of Crest that you get either at Walmart or from the dentist when he does your teeth cleaning. So that's what I'm taking. Um, yeah, and there's definitely some from Rome Mountain and Unicoi. There's definitely some ups and downs. And if you didn't watch my day three video, I did 20 miles, and it'd been raining all night the night before. It was foggy, and I think the humidity in the air and the amount of stuff that I was trying to do, and I was my pleurisy flared up on me, or yeah. So, but now I've got an inhaler, so I think I'm gonna go. So, hello, Kristen. I see Banjo. I see Margaret Hewitt from Swainsboro, Georgia. James Hers Hikes from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you all for tuning in. So where was I? So yeah, so that last day I did 20 miles and came down with about a Percy, and I had trouble breathing all day that day. You know, to be honest with you, my legs were strong. I mean, if it wasn't for having it was, how do I describe it? It's like having a side stitch that just won't go away no matter how long you rest. And even while you're resting, I was having a side stitch, and it's on my right side is where my issue was, and still is, to be honest with you. But it's not going to stop me from going back out to hike. Um, so what I'm going to do is I still got a couple of days that I have to stay at home. My wife has a cardiologist appointment, and for those that you don't know, she's had two open heart surgeries, um, related to a birth defect they found late in age, not because of actual, plaque buildup or anything she's done lifestyle wise. She's had two open heart surgeries because of a birth defect. Um, and she's having heart issues now, and the the cardiologist don't want to say it's her heart. They want to say it's anything but her heart. But I live with the woman. I seen the exact same symptoms that I did the first and second time happening now. So I'm going to go to her cardiologist appointment with her on Tuesday, and then probably depending on what happens on that cardiologist appointment, probably leave to come back to trail um, on Tuesday, so I can hit the trail Wednesday morning. So Prepper and them right now are on Waya Bald, which is and are going to take a couple of days off trail. Um, Waya Bald's right before you get to the NOC, and then the next section is from the NOC basically to Fontana Dam, and then Fontana Dam you go into the Smokies. So my goal is to be able to catch up to them and go through the Smokies with them. So we'll see how that works out. Um, so I left off at Unicoi Gap, and the next one is, I mean, I could get there. I could get off trail and have somebody pick me up. Like, Green Dragon would probably pick me up, or Around the Bend would probably pick me up at, like, somewhere at one of those lesser known trailheads. But my goal was to get to Dix Creek Gap and maybe stay at the Round the Bend, just because I haven't stayed at them before, and I want to check it out. Um, if not, I love the people. I love Bill and Donna at the Green Dragon. They are the best people. Um, they are really good people. So, I may go back to them. I mean, they would pick me up at Dix Creek Gap too. So, and I could probably leave my car at their hostel, and have them drop me off at Unicoi Gap. Then they would pick me up at Dix Creek Gap. Not going to do 19 miles in one day. I'm going to do it in 2 days. Um, but with that said, I'd probably do 12, 13 that first day, and that would only leave me a short hike coming in. But Kelly's Knob's in there, right? So, um, so Jim, when I go through the Smokies, last time I had my trail legs already. I was really strong, and Subman was with me, and he was cussing me entire way. But we we actually did the Smokies in 5 days, give or take. Yeah, about 5 days, and that's with taking a Nero one day, right? So Kristen, who's on here, her and John actually picked us up at well, we had a car at the Newfound Gap, but they actually let us stay with them overnight and rest up and get showers and do the load of laundry. And then Subman and I went back early the next day and knocked out the second half of the Smokies in 2.5 days. Our last day coming out of the Smokies, we did 18 miles. So for those of you who didn't know, one of the reasons I was getting off trail is I had a trip planned with my wife and a bunch of other people, um, to go out to the Moose International Poker Tournament, which started on. We were in Vegas on January 10th, so that's why I had to get home and plan to be at Franklin in 7 or 8 days. It didn't work out because once I was sick, I'm like, if I took a zero, I wasn't going to make my goal, right? So it was just convenient for me to leave from Unicoi Gap while I was staying at the Green Dragon Hostel. Um, but so I went and played in the Moose International Tournament. I played 3 days back to back. Going into had a big chip stack. Just to cut the long story short, out of 1,070 people, I finished in 8th place. Uh, that last day, I made a few mistakes I probably shouldn't have done. I should have known better, um, with the group of people that were at the final table. Um, but I still made 6 grand. And then I also placed in another tournament in between day 1 and 2 that they had at the Golden Nugget there for another $1,100. So altogether, was it worth going out to Vegas with plane fare and the money that I lost at the regular cash table and the slot machines? Yes, I still came out about $5,000 ahead. So, with that said, a couple things that I did do when I was home, I was working on a project for um, a friend of mine on the Allegheny Trail who is a section coordinator on the Allegheny Trail. Um, and he wanted me to make one of these. I have a smaller version back on my wall because I was trying the smaller version first, but so I made a larger version of our Allegheny Trail symbol. Um, if you can tell, I lost the I on the floor when I was staining the letters and found it luckily, so I didn't have to make another one. Um, I have to stain it, and hopefully I will get this out to you, Jared, if you're watching or you watch this later. I will get this out to you before I get back to trail. If not, I will bring it to you when if you're going to the Sawyer class in March. So that's one of the things I first did when I first got off, and then I finished it up when I got back from Vegas. And I've got to do one last thing to stain it for them and hopefully get it out in the mail. So Flextail sent me a replacement. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to definitely blow it up before and make sure it holds air. But in the meantime, I went and got me another pillow from Trekology. This is a beast of a pillow. It is 25 inches wide, so if you have a normal sleeping pad, it would go completely around the sleeping pad and fasten around it, no problem. It is 10.7 ounces. The Flextail is kind of a smaller contoured pillow. And this is how wide it is. It is, 18 inches, I guess. So you have to center it on your pad. Good thing about this, though, it'll tuck in. If I kind of leave it uncompressed a little bit and don't have it filled up all the way, it'll tuck inside the head area of my sleeping bag instead of being on the outside, if I want it to be. And it's contoured. You can't tell it here, but it has a high side and a low side. So depending how you want to sleep on it, you can, support your neck. But this is the one that I showed deflated that didn't hold air. So I'm definitely going to check it out. So, but this, compared to this, I'm not a Graham weenie, but I am concerned about space. You can see the difference in sizes of space. Space is a premium, and especially if you're winter backpacking, space is a premium because you're carrying extra gear for cold weather. So this is 5.7 ounces is a lot smaller. So I'm taking this one in my vehicle that I'm driving back down, and it'll stay in my vehicle. Of course, it'll be anywhere from 30 to 45 miles away from me. But if I ever need it, it'll be there. But as you can see, the Trekology, that's the one going in my backpack. So Trekology's customer service is great. They're really responsive. I had to send them a couple photos showing them what my issue was. They didn't want my other product back, so I may, if you ever look inside of one of these, it's just a plastic bag that's welded together, plastic welded together. So I may see if I can fix it, and if it is, I'll gift it to somebody. But I love Flextail. I've had the Flextail V5 or R5 mattress. I love that mattress. It is comfortable and quiet, and it says it's an R value of 6. I'm carrying a Thermarest right now with an R value of 9/9 for winter camping. But I'll be switching to my Flextail as soon as I can, as soon as probably in March sometime. I used the Flextail in snow last year and it did okay, but I just wanted the extra. But along with that said, I had my Flextail got pinhole leaks in it in one of the very ends. Flextail, I just had to show them that it was losing air. They sent me a replacement with no extra charge. So, and I did. They're pretty responsive once you get the message through to them. So, yeah, definitely a great company. And if you watch my videos, you know I hike in the dark. So one of my fears, and we say we pack our fears, is is my headlamp, which I use the NU25. It's a great headlamp. I recommend it to everybody. Um, but I wanted to have an extra source of light because my I don't carry my old air pump. My old air pump was a Flextail V2 pump or maybe a V1, but it had like a lantern in it you could hang up in your tent. So I was going to carry it, but I'd rather use my little what's the ever the new Flextail is, the that little micro pump that comes from Flextail. So I'm using it. So I want an extra headlamp. So I was apprehensive about ordering this from Amazon. I wasn't sure of what it is. It's kind of hard sometimes when you're buying products from Amazon. It looks kind of cheesy, but this is a headlamp that I can clip onto my hat. Excuse me for my hat hair, but it clips onto the bill of my hat, and it's also motion sensitive. You can turn that on or off, but it's got multiple settings, and it's fairly bright. I think it's. I'm not sure how many lumens it says. Does it say on here? Oh, it's only 100 lumens, but that's enough for me to hike in the early morning or at night if I need to. Um, but just the backup light for night hiking. Um, it comes with a headband and of course a charging cable, but I haven't. It's USB-C, so I'll be. But right, I think I weighed this and just to verify, 1.3 ounces. So it's really lightweight. That's comparable to what my NU25 is. And if I, yeah, it's around here somewhere. Um, I've got to repack, but I'll be taking that as my backup. The other thing I have is these are down booties. I was going to take them last time, but I couldn't find them. When I came home, as soon as I walked in the door, I looked around for other stuff and was like, oh, there they are. So these are going back with me. Um, I'm taking some stuff out of my backpack that I packed. Like I said, you always pack your fears. And I have a heavy duty pair of merino wool bottoms to sleep in, and a 120 weight merino wool quarter zip. Yeah. So this is the quarter zip, and it's my favorite company that I found. I mean, I got Smart Wool, but this is Mary Wool. Um, this is a 120 weight, really heavy duty, um, full long sleeve, very warm. Uh, and it's I can wear this here in West Virginia in 15-degree weather without a jacket and stay warm. Um, to run outside or walk around or go shopping or whatever. This is great. And it looks good too, to be honest with you. It does. It's really a good looking shirt. But with that said, I had this in to sleep in and I'm not going to take it back. Um, and this is what I was hiking in. And this is Smart Wool. It is a quarter zip. And if you go look these up, they're expensive shirts. Recommend going to Mary Wool Layers. They're also on Amazon. Check out their prices. They're probably going to be anywhere from 80% to 50% of what the comparable product is from Smartwool. So that's going actually probably in my bag. And if you watch my videos, I was hiking with this. I love this. It is very lightweight. Um, this is actually uh, the Alpha Direct 120 from Bergeron Outdoors. Um, they're up in New Hampshire, right off the Allegheny Trail. Um, but what I found for me when hiking is it, if I layered even with the t-shirt underneath, once I get moving and once it gets over probably 35 to 40 degrees, I start sweating and didn't need this anymore. That means I'd have to stop hiking, pull this off over my head, stow it in my pack, and keep on going. However, this is going in my pack because it's actually going to replace my merino wool for possibly sleeping. And if I need it, I can use this as a layer too if it gets really cold, like it has been up there. And this is my merino wool t-shirt. This is what I hike in normally, almost all the time, and it's gone back with me. For everyday hiking, I'm taking. This is what a grid fleece. This has been the popular fleece before Alpha Direct came out. This is also from Bergeron Outdoors. You can get these for like around $100. It's called the Rainier hoodie. It comes as a regular hoodie with a full pocket in front or a full zip version. Again, what I like about this, got pockets, so I can stuff my beanie in when I get hot. And the other thing I like about this is I can regulate my heat a little bit. I can unzip. When it's cold, you always start off hiking in the cold. I can have it all zipped up over my head, pulled down if I need it. And, and then as I'm getting warm, I can control my heat my heat dissipation. I can control it by unzipping it. And the other thing is once it is fully unzipped, I can actually take this off without taking off my backpack. Just kind of loosen a strap, take off an arm, tighten it back up, do the other side, and then just let it hang around my waist until I stop, and then I can stow it. But this will be what I'm wearing the majority of the time. And if you watch my videos last year, I swore by this. I still swear by it. My favorite jacket. I wear it around here all the time. I wore it in Vegas at the poker table all the time. So that's going back in my backpack. So you saw the new gear I bought. Now let's talk about one of the pieces of gear that I'm kind of proud of that I bought. And so I got a new food bag. But let's talk about my old food bag first. So this is the Xped Flash Splash 15. And I think it was actually kind of like a day pack. I got it at REI. And I think it was really targeted for swimmers. And which reminds me, I need to take this out and stow it before I forget it. A little lighter I kept in my food bag, an extra lighter in case my igniter didn't work. But this was really lightweight. I mean, this is really lightweight. It's not Dyneema. This is only 3.3 ounces, and to be the utility to also have a day pack for when I went if I'd go into town or something was pretty good. And it's a 15-liter bag. I could keep 4 days worth of food. And Jim, I watched your videos today when you were talking and stuff, and when I was on the other one on Tuesday night while I was at the poker table. You don't need to carry 5 days worth of food, brother. You're going to be causing yourself a backache. I listened to what you had planned. Unless you don't intend, unless you're going to be doing like only 6 miles a day, you can resupply at Neil's Gap at Mountain Crossing, right? So you'll definitely do more than 6 miles a day. Even if you do the approach trail, you're talking 38 miles, right? So save yourself some weight on your back and only pack 4, maybe 3.5 days worth of food. I know, but everybody hikes their own hike. You do what you want, brother. So, but while I was at mountain crossing, in case you didn't know that I've already showed it once. You know, I'm a big supporter of the Allegheny Trail, and one of the things I'm doing as I'm going is if I write in a logbook, I put an Allegheny Trail sticker in a logbook. I don't purposely go off to um, a shelter if I don't have to, especially if it's off trail very far. You know, if I have to stop for water, I plan on maybe eating something, wanting to take a break, I'll stop at something that's close by. If not, I'll go on past it. But if I'm going to be staying the night around the shelter, I probably won't be staying in a shelter unless the weather's really terrible. Um, I will sign a logbook and put one of these in there to promote the Allegheny Trail for people that read it. I'm trying to get more people to come to West Virginia and hike in West Virginia because hikers equals dollars. And the area where the Allegheny Trail goes through is some of the most economically depressed areas in West Virginia, and they need all the money they can get. With that said, this is my new food bag, and this is a custom food bag from Hilltop Packs. It is Dyneema. So that was 3.3 ounces. This comes in at 2.6. I did get I don't know if you can see it, but maybe you can see it in the back right here, where it's kind of like there is a place to stow your spoon, so you can find it easy instead of just losing it in the bottom of your bag. But this is my way of, when I do my bear hangs, of supporting the Allegheny Trail. So this will be advertisement. And if anybody wants to go get a custom food bag, you don't have to get this one. But if you're an Allegheny Trail hiker, go out and get this one. Use the code Wolfie Hikes and you'll get 10% off. It'll also help me a little bit, which I'll reinvest in getting more stuff from Hilltop Packs. And the reason I went with Hilltop Packs is they're not a West Virginia company, but they're damn close. They are like within 40 or 50 miles from the Allegheny Trail's northernmost trailhead. So they are definitely familiar with the Allegheny Trail. It's a small cottage company. They make custom backpacks. You can get a custom backpack from them that has your own artwork on it if you want. And if I didn't have my Z pack, I would probably got one from Hilltop Packs. I would love to go up and see them and try on their packs, and I may do that if I get up that way. But yeah, I'm definitely proud of this, and this is what's going to be doing my bear hangs. So Jim says, how much water do I carry at one time? So Jim, I carry 1.75 liters. I carry a liter in a bottle in the back, and then I carry one of the smart water bottles with the flip top. But I actually I went to Lowe's and I got some 5/16 tubing. I stuffed down the cap of that, and that's what I use as like a straw, and kind of like a mini hydration pack. And to be honest with you, for me, if I didn't have that straw there where I could get to it easy, I probably wouldn't stop to pull out my water bottle and take a drink, or slow down for me, pull it out, take a drink. But I just turn that straw around, have it cut at an angle all the way to the bottom, and I drink it that way. And the only reason I carry probably a liter and at 3/4 is when I stop to go number 2, right, or stop at a latrine, or slipping my mind. But when I stop at those, I use porta wipes, and I also use a bidet for a bottle. So I keep it an empty plastic bottle as part of my toiletry kit, and I pop the bidet on it with some water in it because if as Jim would say, if you know, you know, right? But yeah, so yeah, I carry about 1 3/4 liters. Um, that would change when the weather gets hotter and the drought conditions kick back more in. Uh, but I think the most I ever carry, usually in those dry conditions, is 2 liters. Uh, yeah, but that's me. Again, each their own. And it's every liter of water is 2.2 pounds, right? 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds. So that adding the water, you can tell when it's added up. I think I also carry a Canuck 3 liter bag to filter water. Um, but I may go to like a liter and a half smart water bottle, and just instead of carrying the 1 liter bottle, carry the 3 liter bottle back there with just my filter screwed on the top of it, just to make it easy to stop and filter water instead of have to get everything else out. But I'm not sure. But that's also an option. Oh yeah. So if you see my bear vault back there, I wanted my bear vault to be different enough, and especially since I wake up early and usually I'm looking for my stuff before sunup. I put the blue and gold for West Virginia. Went to Walmart, found some driveway marking tape there, and stuck on there, so I'd recognize my bear vault, especially in the dark. It would reflect the light back with me. So yeah, so yeah, yeah, Jim. I think you got a good plan. I saw how you tore up your feet too. So definitely, take my advice on the shoes. Find them now. Don't find them on the AT. Let's see. Is there any other ones? Yeah, definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. Yeah. So if there was any questions, I'll be glad to take them. I mean, otherwise I'm just going to be sitting here talking about nothing for a while. But like I said, I plan on meeting up with Prepper and Subman. They have a vehicle. Subman doesn't like to hike in the rain. He if it gets real cold, he doesn't like to hike either. But again, I've seen the man hike in 20 degrees with a 20 mile an hour wind in shorts. Um, yeah, so I hope I've heard good things about the Speed Goat Sevens, Jim. I hope they work out for you. Myself, I use the Merrill Agility Peak Fives. Those work for me. I'm actually using right now the Merrill Agility Peak Five Zeros. They're a very expensive shoe, but if you can catch them on sale, I recommend buying them, especially if you're going to be hiking in the winter and snow, because they have a Gore-Tex upper with a waterproof zipper. And so far, my feet don't sweat a lot, but they sweat some. Um, so far, I've found that I've had not had any issues with that Gore-Tex upper not breathing well enough. Um, they're still a trail runner. They are not a boot. They look like boots, but they're not a boot. They're a trail runner. So if Gene, if you're talking to Takes a Hike with Jim, he does have a YouTube channel. He does a lot of live stuff right now. I think he what Takes a Hike with Jim. You try to do lives on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? About what you've done and how you're training and stuff like that. So in if you go back to my channel, there's an interview with him where I highlight that, where it is first time Jim and I met on camera, and he and I were talking about what's his plans for the hike and what's his big fears and what he plans on doing in training. So go check out that video. Anybody else have any questions before I end this? Feel free. Let me go back and check to see if there's some questions that I missed. So Big Mike, if you're still on, Larry LaPierre, uh, he is 68 and he starts every January 1st, and he's through hike twice. I think once in his once in his early 50s and then once later in his 60s. And him and his wife hiked it together. They actually got married on Springer Mountain. Yeah, congratulations for retiring next year. I retired with 35 years of service from Department of Treasury last year. Yeah, at 60 years old, he'll do fine out there, Big Mike. So Gene, um, so Gene, what area do you live in? And then I can maybe recommend some place to train. So, and that's another thing we were talking. I was talking about comments earlier. People were saying, that's not the way to hike the AT. I've already got over 1,000 miles hiking underneath my belt. Um, from anywhere from 99 degrees, in the summertime with 98% humidity to I think at the most I've hiked in was like 18 inches of snow, and that was at the highest peak on the Allegheny Trail, which was 4680 up in that area. Dallas, Georgia. Yeah, you got a lot of mountains down in southern Georgia. I mean, yeah. The Pahonte Trail. Yeah, I would definitely train on it. So, thanks everybody for joining. Like I said, the only way I probably won't be back on trail this Wednesday, which would be what? That'd be um the 21st, which that would probably make me going into the knock around about the 29th, which is my birthday. I'll turn 58th on January 29th. Um so so hopefully Wednesday. Only way that I wouldn't go on trail is if something happens at my wife's cardiologist appointment that she would need me to stick around for, which, knowing the way the medical system works, is, you know, so who knows what's going to happen. Um, Last time we found she had trouble, we went to the doctor and she had an issue on December 24th, and she had her second open heart surgery on December 26th. We went home, spent Christmas with the family, and the next morning they went and admitted her to the hospital and did her second open heart surgery immediately. Thank you, Sue. Hello from West by God, Virginia. Um, Glad to hear from New Jersey. So one last time, hit me up in the chat. Any questions? Oh, and you're doing great on your base weight, Jim. Just again, food adds up. You wanna think about a pound a day of food. I carry way too many snacks. Um, I carry for me on my pack I have, it's actually, it's a fanny pack, right? But it's one of the ones that they use for fishing. So it's like a 5 liter pack, and I keep all my snacks in it, right where I can get to them, right in front. Also in it, I also keep my GoPro. My GoPro's not making it back. I didn't. I hike since I'm making so many miles on the trail, and I don't slow down. I don't. I just use my phone camera. I have a top of the line Pixel phone, so I use it. It takes really great stuff. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. I will pass along your well wishes and good luck. So things like my GoPro, the extra battery for my GoPro, it's not making it back to trail. I have a small tripod that I can use for either. It's going to go back, but it hardly weighs anything. And yeah, so 15 pounds with winter weight, that's really good. I think you'll find though that, well, you're starting in March. That's probably pretty good. I think my winter weight, so my backpack with 3.5 days with my food and water came in at 28 pounds when I weighed it. Um, Again, but that's with my chest rig on too, and all the snacks in it. Yeah. So Matt, if you see me on trail, uh, just message me in one of the comments on one of my videos or something like that. Let me know when you're starting exactly. Because like I said, I'll be hopping on and off trail. Um, so as far as commitments go, I know I have a commitment in March. I I am going to a Sawyer class uh, that's being given by the Monongahela National Forest as part of the National Forest Service, and that's so I can do trail maintenance with a chainsaw on the Allegheny Trail. I will also be taking that certification I get from them and taking it to the Wayne National Forest so I can help do trail maintenance on the Buckeye Trail, because the Buckeye Trail was probably, which is Ohio's big trail. Um, the Buckeye Trail is probably only like 15 miles away from me, sections of it, and I've hiked like 500, 600 miles on it, and I will probably go on what they call the wilderness section of it and probably help do trail maintenance on it if they ever need it. Um, yes, I pack Lifesaver gummies. Uh, I wish they made Lifesaver gummies with caffeine in them, because I like the Cliff Block Energy Chews. Um, and there's also another one that I have that's in a it's like jelly beans almost, but are more gummy, that I use too. Those have got caffeine in them. Did I do the approach trail? No, I did not do the approach trail. I had some friends of mine uh, that recommended not doing the approach trail. I did do the steps though. I did hike the steps just as part of my staying there at the Emmacola Falls Lodge. I had time and I went up and down the steps. My legs did fine. Um, so I noticed Jim's video when I watched it this morning. He was talking about training, and some people in his comments for training talked about doing a stair stepper, right? Um, there, don't get me wrong. There are stairs along the trail, in places. They are not put there for hikers. They are put there for erosion control in most cases. And if you see them there, it's because it's a heavily trafficked area of people going up and down it. You'll usually see them at trailheads where where there's a view close by, right? And a lot of day hikers do it, and the trail gets trodden down. So they put those stairs in place. Coming out of I-40, right before you get to Standing Bear, they had stairs. And if you watched Rambina's, they had footage of the people out there um, replacing those things. But that's because that's a steep uphill, and that was for erosion control. Um, but with that being said, my legs did fine on the stairs. But what I recommend for training is you take a backpack in with you to your fitness center, go to the treadmill, crank up the incline on the treadmill, right? Because that's what you'll be doing most on the trail is going up inclines of anywhere from 3 to 8%, if not more. I mean, some of like Kelly Knob's probably like a 12% incline, maybe 15, and that's why it's so tough. And it's going uphill. There's no switchbacks on that section. Most of the rest of the time, there's switchbacks, so that your grade's going to be 2 or 3%. So go hit your treadmill and raise that incline, and then try to keep the same pace, or increase your pace every day, or increase your incline every day while keeping the same pace. That's the best way you could train if you don't have a mountain nearby, right? That's what I recommend. Um, what the only thing you're not going to be able to train for is going downhill, right? And downhill for me is rougher on my knees going uphill. I use my trekking poles more going downhill. Um, and like I said, if you're going to be hiking the trail, don't be me, especially if you're new to hiking or new to the AT. Don't be me. Do not hike in the dark until you're comfortable with being out on trail for a while. And the reason I say this is it doesn't show in my videos, but if you go and check out last year's video of where Subman and I came down, I think that was day maybe 5, maybe day 5, I think, where Subman and I were coming down off of uh, Blue Mountain, coming down in the Unicoi Gap. You can see how rocky that place was. And that's where Subman took a header over the hill. Thank goodness he didn't go very far, and he actually, when he fell from rocky area into dirt area. He still stoved himself up pretty good. What pace do I try to maintain? So for me personally, the pace I try to maintain is about 2.5 miles an hour. If it's, let's say, um, so like there's a big section of trail as you come out of Neal's Crossing, right? You go uphill and you climb up your first little mountain, but after you get past that, it's all for like 6 miles. It's all forest road. So if I'm on a trail like that, even with a slight incline, I can hit 3, 3 and a quarter. But I like to stay around 2.5, 2 and a quarter, and that even with limited light, like it is now in January, that still puts me around about a 16 mile day. But again, that's me. Don't start out like me, because I already have my trail legs, and I do a lot of stuff to maintain those trail legs even when I'm not hiking. So if anybody has any questions, if you go to my channel, and if you're not already a subscriber, please go out and subscribe. I need like 20 more people to hit 5,000 subscribers. Just picked up Coro's Apex 4 with GPS and an iPhone 17 Pro with Saturn. Do you really need a Garmin? On the AT, my opinion is you don't need a Garmin or a Zoleo. With that said, I carry a Zoleo, but that's not for my peace of mind. That's for my family's peace of mind, because I have the Zoleo Share Plus, and the people I have set up on my account, um, I have it set to send um, a breadcrumb from my Zoleo every hour, and you can do the same on Garmin. I think the Garmin, it's more for your friends and family's peace of mind than it is for yours. For the Allegheny Trail, you really don't need it, because you have cell service more often than you don't, depending on who your carrier is. there was places in the Smoky Mountains that I had cell service that other people didn't because of who my carrier is. I use Google Fi, and that's my carrier. So with the iPhone 17 Pro, and even for my phone, I have emergency satellite messaging if I need it. Um, I think you would be okay. But again, don't carry an emergency beacon for your family, right? It's like this is called a runner's ID bracelet. I don't wear it for my benefit. I wear it for my family's benefit in case something happens to me. It's got their contact information on it. Um, so Bergeron Outdoors is who I like for their fleeces. That's the Apex 120. This is a great fleece. They make a 20, a 90, and a 60, and they're an American company. They do all their stuff in New Hampshire. I can't off the top of my mind. I cannot remember the town they are in New Hampshire, but it's not very far off the trail. Um, the company I like for wool clothing is Mary Wool Layers. Again, but I've got Smart Wool. Um, but the reason I got Smart Wool is because I had 3 years ago now, somebody bought me a Smart Wool jacket. If you give me just a second, I'll grab it. So this is a Smart Wool merino wool jacket, right? It is a nice jacket. It's heavy. Um, the pit areas have a really thin area, so it breathes. So it breathes when you're hot. Um, but this jacket costs just over $300. And what happened? I don't know if you. I started to get picks and runs in it almost immediately. Now this is a credit to Smart Wool. Um, I sent them pictures of what was going on with it and how it was getting runs and stuff like from day one. And it's on both sides of the jacket, and on places on the back is the same way. Uh, but to their credit, they told me to keep the jacket. They refunded me the entire amount of the money with on-site credit. And that is why I have a Smart Wool t-shirt that cost $80. That's why I have that Smart Wool 120 weight quarter zip that cost $160. I would not spend that much money when I can get a comparable product from Mary Wool Layers for sometimes half the price. Um, I do own a Mary Wool Layer bottom. That's a more of a lightweight. I love it. The only problem with it is when I bought it, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was 260 pounds. I'm 180 right now. So I had to buy something else. Um, the so I'm actually going with a synthetic, and the synthetic is probably it's a men's version of Cuddle Duds is what it is, to sleep in, and it's actually 3 ounces lighter than the wool, so I'm saving 3 ounces there. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's to be honest with you, there's nothing wrong with Walmart. Um, Actually, this year in my local Walmart, I did not know it, but Ozark Trail makes a Marywool polyester blend, and I love those shirts. They were on clearance at my local Walmart. For those of you who don't know, I live in the Ohio Valley, right? So hiking is not big in the Ohio Valley. It's hiking and hunting, or sorry, fishing and hunting are big in the Ohio Valley. So that's our outdoor stores are geared for those type of activities. It's the camping equipment they have there, and even the backpacks are geared for hunting. The camping equipment's geared for people that are taking more stuff to cabins, for car camping and stuff like that. So I live in kind of like an outfitter desert, right? For backpacking at least. So I was thrilled when Walmart had those shirts. Not a lot of people were buying them, so I got several of them on clearance. They have the ones where they're actually really comfortable shirts. They don't itch. They breathe really well. They actually have the thumb hole so you can pull them down over your wrist to help keep your hands warm. They're really good. So if you can find them and you want to go on the cheap, I think full price they were only $25 full price. I got them at $8 a piece on clearance. If they had more in my size, I would have probably bought more. Um, and they even had one with a quarter zip too, which was, or no, one was a hoodie, not a quarter zip, but one was a hoodie, so I bought the hoodie too. Um, so yeah, so going back to gear at Walmart, Ozark Trail makes my favorite trekking poles if you can ever find them, and they're carbon fiber trekking poles. Um, I think for a pair of them, you can get a pair of them for $45. I loved mine. I was coming down off of Painter's Rock. It's the it's the descent before you go into the knock, right? Everybody says the descent into the knock's crazy. They're actually talking about coming down off that overlook down into the mountain. Because once you get down to that mountain, it's probably another 6 miles to the NOC, and that's a piece of cake. But coming on off that mountain, it was frozen and icy and windy that day, and I slipped. And when I slipped back, I caught myself with my trekking pole, but where it was so cold, the carbon fiber broke. Right? I love those trekking poles. I hated to see them go. I had to go buy me a set of trekking poles when I got to the NOC because I have a trekking pole tent at the outfitters there, and I spent $160 on trekking poles. Now, granted, those are what lackeys, but they have a lifetime guarantee. If I take them to any lackey dealer, they'll replace everything but the tips. Um, but if anything goes wrong with them, they'll take care of them. But again, if I didn't have to buy something like that at that moment, and that's the only thing, that was the cheapest pair they had. Some of their trekking poles went as high as $300 a pair. I wouldn't have bought them there. I would have probably went back to Walmart and got a pair of their aluminum ones if I couldn't find their carbon fiber ones. I've yet to find in the last year carbon fiber trekking poles. I was watching Dan Becker, where his production assistant bought all trail gear from Walmart, and she found them. And it's like, oh, I went to look online, looking for them, was going to order a pair online, and they're out of stock. So you can get some good gear at Walmart. There's a guy, it's called Sam. Last year, he hiked with basically all Walmart gear, unless somebody upgraded him along the way and gifted him along the way. So Matt, you're coming from the UK. You don't have to be ultralight. I think what you find, especially if you're fairly new to backpacking, is you start off with what you have, right? And you find out what works for you. And the ultralight stuff is not for everybody. So, you know, um, I tell you what, I like my Z Pack. I have a Z Back Arc Hall 70, and I bought this 70 because it is a true 70-liter inside the pack, not counting the outside pockets and everything. Um, and I bought it because I do winter backpacking, right? And I wanted something I could, but if I had to carry much more than 35 pounds in it, it would be uncomfortable. And I would probably go back to something like a Gregory or or one of the other big backpacking companies, um, it because they carry that much weight better because of the way they're made. Now, with that being said, their 70 liter is not a true 70 liter because they count the hip out pockets in that calculation. They count the mesh pockets, the side pockets in that calculation. So if you think you're going to go with a 70-liter Gregory Ballatoris and have room for winter backpacking, you're going to be pushing the edge because when I went to go, I could barely get my food in on top. And that's with having the brain filled and everything else like that with gear than I needed. And I was carrying less gear than I started with this year in that pack. So take that with a grain of salt. Um, again, that pack carries a lot of weight, but that pack empty is somewhere around 6 to 7 pounds, depending on whether you get the large or you know a, the large with the large hip belts and the large shoulder. That's what I'm talking about when I say large. It's if you get a 70-liter, small, medium, or large, they're still the same. It's just the you know like hip belts and shoulder straps that are the difference in the sizes, and those packs have adjustable torso lengths too. Oh, Chase, what do you say as far as hydration goes? I'm just curious of what we agree on together. Yeah, you'll okay with the Zen Bivy bed, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you would be packing a lot more comfortable bed than a lot of hikers carry. And a Durston 55 liter. So Durston for their backpacks. For those of you that don't know, when they do their calculation, they do this their calculation of space for a backpack the same way Z-Pack does. It's the actual tube, not the outside pockets or the hip belt pockets. And in fact, Z-Pack for them, you have to order their hip belt pockets separately. Yeah, so that same way with me, Chase, is I don't drink enough unless I have my my modded uh my modded straw down a sports bottle top. So for those of you that are interested in tents, my choice tent cost about a third of what a Durston tent cost. I'm a I am a fan of 3 UFL gear, and last year I carried the Lanshan 2, and I actually bought another Lanshan 2, but I got the 4 season inner for it. Um, right now I am carrying the Lanshan 1 Pro with the 4 season inner, and that's what I'm carrying with it. It uses one trekking pole instead of two, where the Lanshan 2 is uh, a two trekking pole tent. But I heard comments of some of the people that saw my tent last year, and it's a sill nylon tent. Um, but they said it was like a huge tent palace because I have vestibules on both sides. I got room to spread out my gear. Uh, but with that said, I'm doing fine in the one, and the one weighs 1.6 pounds. That's with the tent pegs. Um, and I carry some people commented on my videos, but I carry some arrows that are chopped off that I use on the guy ropes for the head, the foot, and the side on it to like raise it up some more to give me some more headroom in the inside. Don't really need it. It's just a nice to have. If I could check those arrows, but those arrows are like less than less than probably three. There's 3 of them, and there's less than 3 ounces. So, and I just carry those down the side of my backpack. and don't carry them with the tent. But three UFLs are a great company, and they actually make a dry sack. This is from 3UFL. It's a 24 liter, and this is what I keep my clothes in. What's sweet about this is it's almost like an inflation sack, right? And I have an inflation sack from Matrix that's made the same way, that's waterproof. But if you see on this bottom here how it's smooth, they actually got a piece of spongy type material that's welded to the bottom of this. So what that allows you to do is when you seal this up, when you seal it up, you can pop off this top here, and this sponge keeps any of your clothes and anything away from it. And you can start pushing the air out of this, and it becomes a compression sack. So you can sit there and work the air out of it. It's easier, of course, when you're on the ground. But right there's all my extra clothes, and that saves me a lot of space in my backpack. Saves me more space than if I were just to throw them in the backpack themselves and then smush everything down on top of them. And it's one of the things for me, when I used to just stuff everything in my backpack, and then I'd have a gear explosion in my tent, right? So this helps me keep me organized. So I keep all my clothes in this, my back, and then in their individual dry sacks. Is my sleeping bag, my food bags, and of course going to be in my new bag that's waterproof. But yeah, and you can always, if you want to do the contractor bag thing, my backpack is seam sealed. It is made out of Dyneema. It's 100% waterproof, so I'm not worried about getting my stuff wet because of something stupid. I actually, one of the things, luxury items I carry for my backpack is I still carry a backpack cover. And the reason I do that is because I keep things like my micro fleece. When it gets too hot, I put it in there. And if it's like a rainy day and I have to get out my raincoat and put on, that micro fleece is coming off because I'm not probably going to be too hot hiking wearing both. So I still want to keep it dry, but I don't want to take it off and stuff it down the top of my backpack, because as soon as I get to a shelter, I'm getting out of that raincoat and putting my micro fleece back on. So that's why I carry a backpack cover. Yeah, Zen Bivy sack works the same way. Yeah. I think this cost me less than $10. If I had it to do over, I would have probably gotten the size smaller than the 24 liter. And I still may go back and buy a couple other smaller bags, just so I can keep things a little bit organized, a little bit different. Because I would like to keep my sleep clothes separate from my extra clothes. In extra clothes, I'm talking about extra pair of socks, extra pair of underwear, and whether or not I'm wearing my full long sleeve shirt or my t-shirt, right? So that's the only extra clothes I carry. And to be honest with you, most through hikers or most long distance hikers don't carry an extra pair of underwear. But for me, I never trust a fart. And I said this in when I was watching Jim's video. I recommend that as part of your kit, whether you keep it in your hip belt pockets or you keep it, in a fanny pack that you're using as a front pack or whatever. If you're an older hiker, and I would say maybe 35 up, keep gas release release tablets with you and take them for probably the first few weeks of your hike. And the reason being, it's not really the change in food. I mean, you're eating a lot of crappy food, right? So your stomach's going to rebel on you and your intestines are going to rebel on you. But what I found is from wearing a backpack and having a hip belt on and moving that many miles, that many days, it's going to wreak havoc on your intestinal tract, right? And you're going to be more gassy than normal. And I don't know if you've ever had gas moving around your intestines and kind of it's painful. And sometimes for me, you think you have to fart, but you're not sure. So me, I don't trust it. So with that said, that's why I carry an extra pair of underwear because for me, that's just one of my pet peeves is I need to make sure that I'm absolutely clean when I'm done using the privy. And that's why I carry a bidet and I carry the porta wipes that I rehydrate instead of wipies and stuff like that. Because again, wipies are wet, water's weight, so I carry you know those things. Um, so yeah, that's me for the day. Um, I will start posting if I go back on trail on Wednesday. I will probably won't be posting until I get to Franklin. I like to keep my videos when I'm on trail kind of day to day to day to day. That way, even if I take a break, maybe to come back home for a family emergency or need to get off trail for a day or two, that way they don't stop. I'll start. Not my videos will be numbered about the trail days, so the next one will be day 4. But I also go in there and put the date in there. So the main reason I do it is so if somebody's hiking during that time, they can see what the trail conditions are during that time of year. Um, yeah, I thought about ordering some of those, and what's the other, the Karataka or whatever. Um, but I found it's a made by Fruit of Loom. It is a lightweight underwear that it's got areas built into the underwear that have 360 stretch or 4-way stretch built into them, with extra places and with a good athletic support. So, and I found those and I really like them. So there's no sense in going to something. I have some merino wool boxers that I tried out. They're okay, but again, when I bought those boxers, I was a lot heavier. So now I want something that's more form fitting, So I wear the boxer briefs that kind of fit tight, and those 4-way stretchers are really good. Yeah. So Matt, so my dirty clothes are the ones that are on my body, and they stay on my body. They don't go in a sack. If anywhere they go is at uh, underneath my sleeping bag between me and my air mattress at night to help dry them out if they're wet. If not, they go down probably up next to my foot box where they can stay dry in case my tent leaks or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I was glad to find that stuff sack because the nature hike bag um, I misplaced, and I wanted one just like it because I was doing the same thing with it last year, and I could crush all those clothes down really small. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Uh, my email is in in the description of my channel, so shoot me an email if you guys want to know anything. And with that said, this is Wolfie. TTFN. Ta ta for now. Later.